pick up, and this is where little injuries can turn into bigger injuries. So I always held my breath getting to the end of camp and then trying to get out of camp 100% healthy.
There's a lot of people holding their breath in the Bronx right now, but the Yankees, regardless of what's going on, they got to keep rolling with their games, taking on the Blue Jays today. Here's Justin Turner in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, 3 hits today. He's a professional hitter. I think this is a great signing. I think he's going to have an incredible effect on those younger players and just slowing them down.
You mentioned the younger players. This is a guy you're really high on right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a great spring. He had a bad year last year. I thought he tried to do too much. He looks like a completely different player this spring, and that's good for the Blue Jays.
You like seeing that Dalton Varsho smile right there. Was not done with that RBI single. Look at the turnaround.
I mean, his barrel is so much cleaner through the zone than it was a year ago. So much more under control. This is a really good sign for them.
Yeah, nice adjustment for him coming over from Arizona. Meanwhile, Santiago Espinal, maybe a little under the radar with the Jays and some of their names, but
yeah, I agree with that. I think he's going to get a ton of playing time. I think he's a really good winning baseball player. You'll see him at second and third, I would think.
Well, and we talked about injuries, and this coming out today as all of the Yankee saga continues from Eric Boland. Aaron Boone saying no update on the Gerrit Cole MRI. Now, that was expected. They're getting multiple opinions on this. More tests today. He also, though, acknowledged the obvious. Regardless of the results, because of where the buildup is, will not be ready for the opener. The organization is discussing who gets that opening day start. The guess from Eric Boland is that it's Marcus Stroman. And because of what's going on there, Bob Nightingale reporting that the Yankees, awaiting the Gerrit Cole news, have re-engaged the Chicago White Sox about Dylan Cease. Does not include Spencer Jones. I can't help but think that that's the Yankees being in their right mind. You need Spencer Jones to stay in your org.
I believe they do. I mean, you know, Dylan Cease 2 years ago is a legitimate impact starter in the rotation starter in 2022. 2023, he pitched more like a solid contributor. I mean, he's a really good pitcher, and he does make up some of the innings that you may lose with Gerrit Cole if he happens to be out a long period of time, which we hope he's not. The problem for the Yankees right now is
you gotta get on my
is that when you look at their tax situation, Melanie, no matter who they add, even right now, Dylan Cease at $8 million is going to cost him $16. If he's ARB eligible, he's going to be ARB eligible next year. If he's not signed long term, he's going to cost them $12 million, which could be another $24 million. So, and then they need players like Dominguez and Spencer Jones to balance out, which is going to be a really top-heavy payroll. They need younger, impactful players at the minimum or close to the minimum to be able to balance this payroll out as they move forward. I think it's just a tough matchup to give up those two kind of players. And yet, if you're the White Sox, you need some kind of aircraft carrier that you believe can anchor this deal for them to move that kind of prospect. If I'm the Yankees, and it's not my money, certainly, I'm spending the money to add that pitcher rather than giving up those prospects, because the value of those prospects long term in both dollars and wins for the Yankees, I think, is really significant.
Well, and I think to your point, you talk about an aircraft carrier for the White Sox. The Yankees need that, and I don't think Dylan Cease is that guy, because you look at the numbers. Gerrit Cole threw 50 more innings than anybody else on that Yankees staff, and they weren't just bulk work. Those were quality. I mean, this is a Cy Young winner here, and I don't think that's Cease.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they're going to get anybody that's going to replace Gerrit Cole. I think Gerrit Cole is at like a different level of starting pitcher than almost anybody in the game right now. But I do think you've got to figure out a way to attack those innings. You know, Rodon didn't pitch a ton of innings last year. Marcus Stroman didn't pitch a ton of innings last year because of injuries. You know, Clark Schmidt actually did. But, you know, even if he builds up, you're probably in that 160 to 180 area. They do need some guys that can get out and get innings for them, or their bullpen's going to continually get exposed through the course of the season, which I do think is a strength of the club.
And we're going to see what they're able to put together. Meanwhile, the news continuing for the Yankees, this time on the position player side of things. We told you yesterday that Aaron Judge was getting some imaging done, had some discomfort. This from Brian Hope, telling that it was in the middle of his abs. It was not his oblique, stemming from work he did over the offseason. Aaron Judge said, I think just from swinging from November all the way until now, every day, it puts some wear and tear on it. And to me, that sound. Listen, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know the body professionally, but it just sounds a little off.
Yeah, I don't want to read into this. I mean, Aaron knows his body better than anyone. He's probably not trying to put any fire alarms out there. But even if it's an oblique, but that sounds more like a core injury to me, soreness. It's a really tricky part of the body because we're a rotational sport. Everything we do is a rotation, powerful movement. So if you're sore down there, you have to wait till you're completely age symptomatic to be able to start to ramp back up again. or you can continually hurt it or play with discomfort. So I would think this is one that, I wouldn't be shocked if he's not available for opening day either, because I think this is one, from my experience in dealing with this kind of injury over the years, this is like you've got to be really careful and cautious with this type of injury so it doesn't lead to anything that could be significantly a long period of time.
Oh, and you mentioned this. Baseball is a very rotational dependent sport, so it's not really something you can just overlook. He was already dealing with the toe. We knew that would be more of a maintenance this year than anything else, but we'll keep an eye on it. You just saw the list of available people who are vying for a spot on the team, so who knows what's right.
Yeah, there's some outfielders still on the market right now, too, that I think could be solid contributors. So we'll just have to see how this one plays out. But they really need to take a long-term view of this because, I mean, Aaron is such an integral part of their team over a 162-game season. So you don't want to do anything that could